Afternoon, Merle Denbath, Economist here. It's a good day to be at the beach here in Key West, but a lot's going on and we need to talk about it. The last week has been full of economic waves. We start with last week when the Federal Reserve held its discount rate or federal funds rate constant in the range of 3.5 to 3.75%. Not surprising that they did this given the various cross pressures that we're faced with today economically. So the Fed's trying to do a balancing act between these opposing forces. We've got the problem of inflation. That would call for higher interest rates, but there's also the problem of the economy, which would indicate maybe some lower interest rates, particularly to help the housing industry. So for the present time, they've held their rates constant. But regardless of what the Fed does, the Fed basically addresses short-term rates and their federal funds rate and the discount rate, very, very short-term. We're talking about, money by the day, really. Long-term interest rates are still going to have a lot of upward pressure. The 10, the 20, the 30-year yield on the treasuries still going to be very high because of the tremendous demand for borrowed funds of credit. And when you have a demand for something, that tends to bid up the price. And when you have a strong demand for credit, it bids up the price of credit, which is interest rates. It's kind of like a rent. If you use somebody else's house, you pay rent. If you use somebody else's money, you pay rent on that too, which is called interest. And so we're going to see a continuing upward pressure for the rest of this year and probably into next year because of the federal deficits and the demand for borrowed funds both publicly and privately. The latest rates that I was able to check on for the 10-year yield, which is very important for mortgages, is right at about 4.36, 3.7%. Not surprisingly, the 30-year fixed is 2 points higher. There's usually this 2-point spread, and we're going to continue to see interest rates probably around 6%. If you look at polls done to the mortgage bankers and other lenders, they're almost divided as to whether or not rates are going to go up or down. From your point of view, my suggestion is that you get your first home if you can this year. You need to bargain aggressively. You don't want to, chase a falling knife when it comes to interest rates. Interest rates may not go down, but that doesn't mean that you can't get into your first home. You need to bargain aggressively. You want to make sure that you don't pay, if you're buying an existing home, don't pay more than a reasonable inflation adjustment for when it sold before. Examples, let's suppose that a property sold in 2015 for $100,000. What would be a reasonable price today just based upon inflation alone? Well, in 2015, the CPI was about this year in 2026. Use say 330 for a comparison purposes. We're not there yet, but we're getting close. So if you use 330 as the numerator and inflation adjustment there of 1.39. Bottom line, that $100,000 property that sold in 2015 should sell today just on a basis of inflation adjustment, not anything else, at $139,000. Now, if they're asking $195 or something, be very careful before you give the seller some kind of a windfall. One approach that you might use, and that I did myself 3 times when I bought the lot first. I built up some equity in the lot, and then that helped give me equity for the house to get the construction loan and the permanent financing on the house. So if you can't afford to buy the house right now, maybe you can look around and get a good buy on a lot. And yes, you can get financing on a lot. You can make monthly payments on that lot. That helps to build up equity. So the equity that you build up in a lot can be transferred over to help be part of the equity for the home if you choose to build a home, or later on you can sell the lot and use the cash from the sale of the lot for the down payment for your home. Well, that concludes our report for today. Thanks for tuning in, and please hit that subscribe button. These programs are free, so help us keep them going. Thank you.